What is up, YouTube? It's your boy here, Jersey Flex. Welcome to my channel. If you're new to this channel, go down, hit that subscribe button. If you're a returning subscriber, thanks for being faithful to Jersey Flex Fitness. As you guys know, we post nothing but the best fitness content, supplement reviews, all that great stuff, funny content, vlogs, all that stuff. Go down, subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for visiting my channel. As you guys see in the title, in this video, we're gonna be discussing GW, also known as Cardarine. It is most commonly referred to as a SARM. It is not actually a SARM, but it is still a drug that makes you lose a lot of fat. And that is a very good thing. But before we get into the whole history about GW, what GW does, what it's done for me, and what it can do for you, we're gonna roll the intro while you guys go down and subscribe. So let's roll that intro, guys. Alright, now that you guys have gone and supported this page, you guys enjoyed that little intro, let's get into discussing the history of GW. So what is exactly GW? GW was originally, it began being studied clinically through a company called Ligand, which is also the same company that helped design LGD, Ligandrol, LGD 4033, which I've also done a review video on that, so go check that one out if you haven't already. This whole video is basically part of a SARMs series where I've also reviewed Rad 140, also another great video if you guys want to check it out, whatever. But anyways, Ligand Pharmaceuticals was the company that began its research on GW or Cardarine. So they began their studies on rats and such and such and such. It was basically this drug, GW Cardarine. The purpose of this drug was to improve insulin resistance in patients, help with type 2 diabetes, and also help with blood sugar regulation and fat loss and prevent obesity. That is why it is a fat loss drug. But anyways, it began its studies in 1995 and it stopped its studies in 2007. Though many test subjects, rodents included, experienced 0 to no symptoms. So again, I should have said this from the beginning, but I am not your doctor. I am not your healthcare provider. I am not in any way a clinical practitioner. I am not promoting the use of drugs or telling you to take GW. Just because I foolishly have used it myself does not mean that I'm telling you to do so. This video is strictly for educational purposes only. So because I do happen to know quite a lot about this kind of subject and I'm willing to share it with you guys. So hopefully you guys learned something. So back to the subject. They began their studies in 1995, I believe it was, and they banned the substance. WADA, the anti-doping agency, banned the substance in 2007. I believe it was 2007 or 2009. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was 2009 because during the 2008 Olympics, this drug was actually used a lot, especially for endurance athletes, mainly because the compound GW actually helps with endurance athletes because it reduces the amount of effort that needs to be inputted and increases the amount of force that's exerted. That is why it is really good for long distance runners specifically, and you'll see a lot of cyclists who use it. It is very commonly used for people in the cycling world. But because it got banned, it's no longer really used in professional sports, even though it leaves your body's system in about 20 to 30 days, so that way it goes undetected in a drug test. That is something that, before we continue discussing GW, I do want to put that out there. Most of the time, a professional athlete that tests clean during a dope test, it's because they stopped taking it right before they had their dope test. So they passed the test. So basically you can be on GW all year round, but if you have an upcoming dope test, you could stop taking it 30 days before and your results will show up clean. And then you can go right back on it right before you do your event. So, it's these doping tests, they're not really 100% accurate is all I'm saying. And it was almost every single athlete used it in the 2008 Olympics. So Besides being notoriously known for endurance athletes, it also can be used for weightlifters and bodybuilders because of its an endurance factor. You can only, let's say regularly, you're not on GW, you input 70% of your effort and you're able to do a certain amount of weight. Now, if you're on GW, all you have to do is 60% of your effort and you can still move the same amount of weight. So if you put 70% of your effort the same way you were doing before, you can now lift more weight. That's why it helps with weightlifting, because less energy exerted and higher output. So I hope that makes sense for you guys. If not, you guys can comment down below. I'll answer any questions. You guys can DM me, email me, do whatever. I'll answer anything. So, but now let's move into the discussion of why it is so popular. Why do bodybuilders take it so much? It's not so much for muscle gain. It has no muscle gain properties. It is not a hormone. It is in no way, shape, or form. In no way, shape, or form is it a hormone. It is a drug, and it is designed for fat loss. That is why it is most famous. So unlike, and the reason it's not a SARM is because it doesn't bind to an androgen receptor. It's not a receptor modulator. It binds to basically your receptors that are responsible for fat loss. So it aids in specifically fat loss, and you don't really notice the fat loss characteristics right away. Normally it's after a month or two of supplementation you notice the fat loss benefits of it, but it is unbelievable, the fat loss. And I'm sorry to disappoint anybody, it's no excuse for having a poor diet. Oh, I'm just gonna eat whatever junk I want and take GW and I'm gonna be shredded. Doesn't exactly work like that. It works best with a very good amount of exercise and a very clean diet. Same with any kind of anabolic, steroid, SARM, or anything of that nature. It just works best with a clean diet. So, but anyhow, it helps maintain your lean aesthetics. So if you were born kind of like lean but not shredded and you want to go from lean to shredded, it'll do that for you. So, and it's got very minimal toxicity. It's one of the safest, for what we know so far, because it is kind of a new drug. And apparently when it got banned, I believe back in 2009, they were claiming because it was giving cancer to the test rodents, which I believe the test rodents were receiving 2 milligrams a day. Correct me if I am wrong. If anyone knows the correct answer to that, I believe it was 2 milligrams a day. And when you compare that to the human doses in terms of body weights, when you do the whole ratio conversion, that is a ridiculous amount of dose, and a human would never be taking that kind of dose. A full-grown 200-pound human male would probably take about 10 to 30 milligrams a day. So for a rodent to take 2 milligrams a day, that's quite a lot. But they were claiming that it produced cancer and all kinds of tumors, and I believe that that was a cover-up. I think that that was a lie, that they just wanted to have an excuse to discontinue because they were in fear of athletes abusing the substance. Because if you look at a different situation down in Australia, there was a study that was performed in Australia where athletes took 20 milligrams of GW a day for the course of 6 months, and they showed no sign of cancerous cells being increased, no signs of tumor growth, and they just had increased athletic performance. So no side effects, no nothing. That to me kind of sounds like a wonder drug, just saying. Again, I am not promoting the use of any kind of drugs. I'm only saying the results that were found in these studies. So that being said, do I think that it is a great drug for weight loss? Absolutely. Because what is most commonly used is clenbuterol. Clenbuterol is a steroidal agent. That's what's commonly used for cutting. Also Winstrol, because that dry, hard look, Tren, all those kinds of things. But clenbuterol specifically is the closest to this. And if any of you guys take it upon yourselves to go about trying to find this GW, one thing I may warn you guys is that it is often, if you buy it in like some kind of a black market, you know, whatever, buying your SARMs or whatever the heck, be careful that it is not the real stuff. Again, that is with any steroid, with any kind of SARM. Be careful that it is not the real stuff. GW is often replaced with caffeine, clenbuterol, or pro-hormones. And that is where women have to be careful, because GW is actually the preferred cutting drug for women because it is not a hormone. It's just a drug that promotes fat loss and does it very well, incredibly well. So for women, GW is ideal for fat loss because it is not a pro-hormone, it's not androgenic, there's nothing hormone about it. A guy in high school or a 20-year-old could take it and be perfectly fine and just be shredded. You know, that is the thing that most people don't talk about when they discuss these kinds of drugs, is they always say, oh, he took steroids and had a heart attack and died in his sleep. That is like the kind of the freak scenarios where the guy was taking some freakish dose and he took way too much and died in his sleep. The things that they never tell you is 20-year-old takes a minor steroid dose and gets jacked. They never tell you that kind of stuff because they don't want to promote any kind of drug use. But one thing I will say is GW is very safe in the terms of no androgenic side effects whatsoever, because it's impossible. It's not a steroid, it's not a SARM. It basically binds to the receptors responsible for your fat loss. So that's the answer to that. Accelerated fat loss, increased output and endurance, makes you stronger, helps you go on longer, last longer, more energy. But yeah, that is basically why for women it's ideal for fat loss, and for men as well, obviously. But the one thing that women should be careful with, and men as well, but more women, is that you get the real stuff. Because if you're not getting the real GW, it's most likely going to be clenbuterol, pro-hormones, or simply just caffeine powder. So if it's caffeine powder, it's going to do the opposite. It's going to ruin with your, it's going to mess with your endurance rather than give you endurance. The second thing is if it's clenbuterol, clenbuterol, is responsible for giving heart issues and different kinds of things like that. Clenbuterol is a lot heavier and it's a steroid. And number three, if it's a pro-hormone, that's terrible for women, because a woman would be taking this to avoid any kind of androgenic side effects or things of that nature, and now she's having that issue. So just be wary that you get the real stuff is all I'm saying. So what else? If you can avoid GW, I would. It's a drug. Regardless if it's one of the safest ones out there, it's still a drug. If you can avoid taking GW by just simply maintaining a clean diet, doing your cardio as you're supposed to, you're going to have the same results. Because GW, just the difference between GW and clenbuterol is clenbuterol has been shown to prevent muscle loss when you're cutting, whereas GW doesn't really prevent muscle loss, it just accelerates fat loss. So you're not going to have more muscle retention because of GW, but it will speed up your fat loss. So if you can lose your fat by just doing cardio, working hard and dieting, and you can avoid using a drug, yeah. If you want to take GW because you want the easy way out and you just want to be shredded, yeah, you could use it, whatever, doesn't matter. But the choice is strictly up to you. I'm just putting that out there just to help you avoid using a drug when you don't have to, you know what I mean? That advice I felt like was necessary. Now, the part that you guys all want to know, what did it do to me? What did it do to Jersey Flex? Well, I didn't really take it for too long, just under a month. And normally you really notice the results after 2 months. But I will say I was waking up towards the end of that month, I was really waking up harder than last time. That sounded so wrong. I was waking up more dry and hard and shredded and lean than the day before. Like every day that went by, I noticed my fat was disappearing more and more and more, and faster than it regularly would. Because when I diet, I train, I do my cardio, I do notice myself leaning out each and every day just a little bit more. But this was different. This was accelerated. This was a heavy hitter, you know, like just wow. That's all I could say. So definitely something to check out. Definitely if you're gonna do something, this is definitely one of the safest, minimal to no side effects drug that you can take. Just keep in mind it's not a SARM. I put SARM in the title just because, you know, it's something that'll show up in the search engine, and most people do refer to it as a SARM. So, you know, I'm not a liar, but I'm being honest with you. It's not a SARM. It's just sold normally in a stack with a SARM. It's distributed and sold just like a SARM, and most of the doses are very similar to a SARM. So in that respect, it's very similar, but it's not a SARM, just for your own knowledge sake. I hope that this video was informative for you guys. I hope you guys learned something, you got something out of this video. Again, if you haven't already, go down, crush that subscribe button. I'm ending it here. Stay tuned, stay subscribed, and as you guys know, baby, one love, baby. This is Jersey Flex.